What's good, YouTube? Sensational CLANCY'S here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for April 30th, 2021's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this to see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, head over to Camp Hudson. Here the gear vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 191 firearms and 3% damage to elites. And also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 265 electronics and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, head over to the base of operations. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a classic RPK 74. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the weapons vendor. Here we got a vertical grip Coyote Tan. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the gear vendor. Here we got some gunslinger gloves with the talent Savaged on there. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the advanced weaponry vendor, and here we got an extended magazine. And also here we got a VX1 scope times 12. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got a military P416. Also here we got a black market SASG12S. Also here we got a tactical mask with the talent Enduring on there. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent Inventive. Also here we got a high velocity magazine. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a classic M60 blueprint with a gear score of 256. Also here we got a military M9 blueprint with a gear score of 256. Also here we got a firearms gloves blueprint with a gear score of 256. For our next gear items, head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special equipment vendor again has a Cassidy. Also here we got a Liberator. Also here we got an enhanced ACRE. Also here we got a tactical SASG 12K. Next here we got an M700 tactical. Next here we got an operator mask with the talent Tenacious. Next here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Rapid. We also got a Spec Ops pack with the talent Specialized. Next here we got a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. Next here we got a loud vent brake. Also here we got a reflex sight. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a classic M60 blueprint with a gear score of 256. We also got an ACR blueprint with a gear score of 256. And also here we got a high velocity magazine blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, head over to Wolf's Den. Here the weapons vendor has a Tyrant suppressor. For our next gear items, head over to Autumn's Hope. Here the gear vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 203 stamina and 3% damage to elites. And also here we got a prototype firearms mod with 266 firearms and 3072 skill power. For our next gear items, head over to Madison's Stand. Here the gear vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent Rapid. For our next gear items, head over to the Firewall. Here the gear vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Inventive on there. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4% ballistic shield damage. For our next gear items, head over to the Crypt. Here the weapons vendor has a reflex sight. For our next gear items, head over to West 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a black market T821. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, head over to West 39th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator vest with the talent Rapid. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4.50% ballistic shield damage resilience. For our next gear items, head over to West 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a surplus SVD. Next here we got a Spec Ops pack with the talent Relentless. For our next gear items, head over to West 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical UMP 45. And also here we got a heavy magazine spring. For our next gear items, head over to West 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a SOCOM Scar L. For our next gear items, head over to East 64th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype performance mod with 7% ballistic shield health. For our next gear items, head over to East 61st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a high velocity magazine. And also here we got a mega rifle suppressor. For our next gear items, head over to East 58th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent Rehabilitated on there. Also here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Rapid. Next here we got a Spec Ops pack with with the talent Specialized. For our next gear items, head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone Weapons vendor has an MP5 ST. Also here we got a tactical SASG 12K. And also here we got a tactical M249 Para. For our next gear items, head over to East 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype performance mod with 2% pulse critical hit chance. And also here we got a mega rifle suppressor tan. For our next gear items, head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a high velocity magazine. For our next gear items, head over to East 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an infantry MG5. Also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 262 electronics and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. And also here we got a heavy magazine spring. For our next gear items, head over to the 5th Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a VX1 scope times 12. For our next gear items, head over to DZ2 safe room. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent Rapid. Next here we got an operator pack with the talent Relentless. For our next gear items, head over to DZ3 safe room. Here the Dark Zone Weapons vendor has a classic AK-47. And also here we got an M249B. For our next gear items, head over to DZ8 safe room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a tactical mask with the talent Tenacious. Also here we got a gunslinger vest with the talent Reckless. Next here we got a tactical pack with the talent Inventive. And also here we got some operator gloves with the talent Savage on there. For our next gear items, head over to DZ9 safe room. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a high velocity magazine. Next here we got a mega rifle suppressor tan. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for April 30th, 2021's vendor reset. Hope everybody tuned in to it, found them something that they needed. Smash on that sub and like button, y'all appreciate that support. That's good looking out. And I will see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care, peace.